Hey, friends. Welcome to the Swing My Heart podcast. Come join me, your host, Nicole, for some hope-filled conversations about heartfelt entertainment that makes your heart swing. Hey, Hallmarkies. Welcome to the Swing My Heart podcast. I'm your host, Nicole, and today I'm joined for the first time by my new friend, Lauren, from For the Love of Hallmark on Instagram to chat about Hallmark Christmas Week 5, which includes Christmas with the Sings, Jingle Bell Run, and Confessions of a Christmas Letter. Welcome to the podcast, Lauren. I'm excited to chat with you.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. And before we get started on these reviews, how did you start watching Hallmark?
I started watching Hallmark with my mom and my cousin and my aunt. It became like a girls' night special. The movies just really sucked me in, and now it's like a whole family thing.
That's awesome. Do you remember how long you've been watching? Like what year you started?
It started when I went off to college. I want to say
Okay.
like a couple years ago, and
Yeah.
it became something that my mom and I always talked about while I
That's
was
awesome.
away that kept me connected to being home.
I love that. I've been a regular Hallmark watcher. So I always remember watching some of the Christmas movies when I was a kid, but never on a regular basis until March or April of 2017, right after I got into When Calls the Heart. So When Calls the Heart was my start into Hallmark.
That's a good start into Hallmark for sure.
Yes. And I've been watching ever since. So that was 2017. And I wouldn't go back.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
Yeah. And just the content that they put out, that is what draws me to the network over and over again.
Yeah, it's hard to take a step back when like you're drawn in by all of this. It's like I feel like I need a Hallmark movie every week because I just love them so much.
Yes, me too.
And like my week isn't complete without one.
Nope. So if you could choose one Hallmark rom-com, one Hallmark mystery, and that could be a one-off or a series or both, and then one Hallmark Christmas movie and one Hallmark TV series, what would it be?
Okay,
I know that's
so
a tough question.
I'll start with mysteries. I am not really like a mystery person. But I jumped into the Curious Caterer series
Yes.
because Andrew and Nikki are my faves.
Yes.
And I will watch those because of them, but I will be sitting on the couch with like my pillow and my blanket, like holding my fiance's hand, like what's gonna happen next?
Yeah.
But love those. And I was surprised at how much I actually like got into all of them.
Yeah.
My favorite Hallmark Christmas movie is Check Into Christmas. Um,
Okay.
that is a family tradition. We watch it every year and
That's
we make
awesome.
homemade chocolate.
I love that.
It is one of the like ways that I got my fiance into Hallmark movies is I that one, and now he knows, and he got it for me as a little DVD, so he knows that it's a good thing.
I love that.
I'll say my favorite TV or like TV show from the network, probably Chesapeake Shores. I watched that
That's a
with
good
my
one.
mom and my grandma a lot. That one always kept me like guessing and tied to the next episode. Good Witch is another one actually that I love.
Yes.
That one.
Me too. Yeah, that one is a little underrated, I think, in my opinion.
Yes, I agree. I think a lot of people think about the movies, but then like the show went so much further with other storylines. It was easy to get caught up into.
Yes. It's such a tough question. There's so many good ones out there to choose from. I honestly can't pick one, but if I had to pick one on the spot, rom-com, I've said this on a couple of other episodes, How to Fall in Love with Eric Mabius and Brooke Dorsey. And then mystery series, that is really tough. Probably Signed Sealed, which is not a murder mystery, but it's still a mystery because it's a letter mystery. And then number 2 would be Mystery 101. And then Garage Sale Mysteries, Curious Caterers in my top 5 too.
Nice.
And then Christmas movie, that is really hard. I'll exclude Signed Sealed for Christmas
Yes.
because that's a given. Probably Biltmore Christmas and 5 More Minutes are two of my absolute favorites.
5 More Minutes. I just got goosebumps thinking of that movie. That one is so
Yes.
good.
Yes.
So
And A
good.
Dream of Christmas. I cannot not mention Andrew and Nikki's Christmas movie they did together.
True.
And then TV series, I love them all. I love When Calls the Heart, Chesapeake Shores, The Way Home, Good Witch, but I think my favorite is When Calls the Heart.
Every season they roll out something new and it's
Yeah.
like, yes, just keep it coming.
Yes. I think I have a soft spot for When Calls the Heart because that is what got me into Hallmark. So I'm a little bit biased, but it's still a great show anyway,
Yeah.
no matter what. But why don't we get into these movies, starting with Christmas with the Sings. It was written by Emily Ting and Patricia Isaac and directed by Panta Masla. For Asha Singh, Christmas is the most important time of the year. But when she's stuck working at the hospital during the holidays, she wishes for some much needed Christmas magic. Enter Jake, her former high school classmate, who unexpectedly reappears in her life. After a magical year together, Jake proposes, but their first Christmas as an engaged couple isn't exactly the fairy tale they imagined. When they head home for the holidays, they quickly discover their picture-perfect romance is about to get a serious reality check. What were your first impressions on this movie?
So right away, I was drawn in by the two characters.
Yep.
Also, love the idea of the storyline and that little snippet that you read. Like when I read it before the movie, I was wondering like how it would go, but seeing their life like after the engagement, I feel like every Hallmark movie were leading up to that moment, and it was finally like, yes, this is what I want
Yeah.
to see. Like, what's
Yeah.
life with them together?
Yes.
Um, what did you
Yeah.
think about that perspective? Like
I
having them
actually
engaged.
really loved it because we don't see that a lot in Hallmark movies. And I love how Hallmark is doing more and more of that
Yeah.
these days. Yeah, I think it's
Even I
great.
feel like we've had a couple movies recently with like married couples and you kind
Yeah.
of see them go through it and it's that new perspective, but love is always
Mhm.
there and the heart of the
Yeah.
family is always there and
Yes.
capturing those stories. I thought this one did a great job
I
capturing
think so too. Yeah. I loved the meet the parents vibe to that. And it's been a long time since I've seen that movie, but it's great.
yes.
There were a couple times that had me LOLing. I'll probably mention them when we get to our next segment, but yeah, it was
Yes,
great.
me too. I was also not expecting it, I think, in the beginning. And
Yeah.
when he like kissed her right away, I was like,
I
oh,
was
that's
like,
so soon. What are we doing? But I
I know.
loved it.
Yes, me too. Like I almost forgot that they were former classmates. I was like, wait, did they already know each other?
Right.
And then I loved the Hindu culture we saw in this movie because we don't see a lot of that either in these movies. And I love how they're incorporating more and more of different cultures into these movies as well.
Yeah, and for them to carry it through a majority of the
Mm-hmm.
storyline too, I feel
Mm-hmm.
like sometimes we get little glimpses
Yeah.
of it, but this really made the story stand out and different from
Yeah.
other movies we've seen.
Yeah.
They did it in such a beautiful way that made
They
me more
did.
interested in it as a culture too.
Yeah, same. Great writing, directing, and acting from the whole cast and crew.
Mhm.
And I would love a sequel with their wedding.
Ooh,
That
yes.
would be so fun.
That would be really fun. I'm
Yes.
currently in the middle of wedding planning myself,
Oh,
so
that's so fun.
I could definitely see how like their families could drum up some
Yeah.
more like
Yeah.
fun and events and drama
Yeah.
around it all.
Yeah. Congratulations on your engagement. That is amazing.
Thank you. Thanks.
Of
Yeah.
course. Yeah.
It was fun watching it with my parents came and watched it with me and my
Yeah.
fiance. And so
Oh,
when they found out in the movie that he had asked her to marry him
yeah.
without the dad's permission, my dad immediately paused the movie and was like, if you had done that, that would have been bad. So seeing them interact
Yeah.
after going through it in real life and like with the movie was such a fun dynamic.
Yes, I'm actually with your dad. I am all for the asking the father for permission.
Yes. I think his conversation after that was kind of like, if you hadn't, I would have been a lot meaner than he was in the movie. I was like, oh no.
Oh my goodness. So I hope when I find the right guy, he will do that as well.
Yes.
Fingers crossed. Oh my
Yes.
goodness. And a little shout out for the Postables here. Benjamin Hollingsworth was Charlie in the pilot movie. And then the sister-in-law, Sarah, was in the second episode of the TV series To Whom It May Concern. She played Samilla or Sammy, so the girl from the letter story.
Oh wow. I didn't even put the two together.
I didn't either for Sarah, but of course Ben, he's
Right, right.
recognizable. So I knew Ben. But when I was watching this movie the first time, the girl, Sarah, I recognized her voice. I was like, I have seen her in something else on Hallmark and I cannot put my finger on it. And then it finally hit me
And then
the
it clicked.
second time I was watching it. I was like, oh, okay. That's where I've seen her. But yeah,
That's a
fantastic.
fun puzzle of Hallmark movies. Just like when you watch it, like who does this remind you of? Or where did you last see this person?
Yeah. I love how we see all these familiar faces in all of these Hallmark movies from other projects, like TV series and stuff like that.
It makes it feel like a family that way.
Yes, I think so too. Moving on to our hits segment. So that is anything we liked or any favorite or standout moments. Would you like to share some of yours?
Sure. My first one was a quote at the beginning. The magic of Christmas is always present. And that just sealed me on the movie from like the first couple seconds that it was in there. Oh, the scene with the dads together at the very end. I know that's going
Mm-hmm.
from like the beginning to
Oh
the end
no,
of
go.
the
No,
movie,
that's fine.
but
That's fine.
it's so genuine the way they
Yeah.
talk to each other. And after
Mm-hmm.
the busyness of the movie, to just
Mm-hmm.
see them reconnect like that and slow things down,
Yeah.
it was
Mm-hmm.
unexpected and appreciated. I liked it.
Yes, that was one of my favorite scenes in the movie as well. I loved the Sing family dynamics with everyone, and then the development of the father-daughter relationship of Samuel and Asha, I thought was really sweet.
Yeah, that was sweet. The
Yeah,
little piece at the end had me grabbing for tissues
I
because,
know. I was crying too.
yeah, they did a wonderful job through that,
Yes,
which I
they
can
did.
imagine is a tough scene to
Yeah.
act in, but you really felt every bit of emotion, and I
Yeah.
appreciated that through
Yeah.
like the whole movie with it all.
Yeah. Then the Christmas Eve candlelight service, I noticed it was at the same church as Sign Sealed, The Vows We Have Made, and The Gift of Peace.
Oh, wow. That's another
Beautiful
place
church.
right there. I
Yeah.
know, it was beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. One thing I really loved about this movie was how the conflict wasn't long and drawn out. It was resolved pretty quickly within maybe 5 or 10 minutes of the movie.
Right. At first, during the conflict piece of it, I
Yeah.
felt it was so heavy and so
Yeah.
emotional. It made me feel really sad, and it felt like
Yeah.
one of those heavier, like movies and mysteries kind
Yeah.
of for me.
Yeah.
Um, they weren't like happy tears. They were like
Yeah.
I was bundled up and sad for them. But you're right.
Hmm.
The quick
Yeah.
turnaround made me relieved and let me kind of bounce back and enjoy the
Yeah.
end of it all.
Yeah. I definitely agree. So some of my other favorite scenes, I loved Jake and Asha's meet cute slash reunion. And when she's bandaging his hand, I love how she says, of all the ERs and all the towns and all the world, Jake O'Brien walks into mine. That's a
So good.
Casablanca reference.
So good.
And it's also funny because this is the second movie that Ben Hollingsworth has been in where that same quote has been used, except the words have been changed. It was Santa Summit last year. Of all the Santa Summits in all the world, you walked into mine.
You're so right. I forgot about that. I wonder if he was like, let's do this as like a little Easter egg.
I don't know. And it's also ironic because the signed sealed movie that Ben was in, the pilot movie, that same quote was used for Shane and Oliver of all the coffee shops in all the towns in all the world. You walked into mine.
There's something here.
I'm like, kind of ironic that Ben has been in 3 movies where that quote has been used.
The next movie he's in, I'm gonna be like listening so closely to hear it pop up somewhere.
Yes, but I love it. It's
Yeah.
so cool. I think one of my top favorite scenes is his proposal to her. I'm not gonna lie, I got emotional.
During that scene, I love the whole proposal,
Yeah.
but I was also distracted by all the other extras, and I was trying to put myself in their shoes of like, what would I do if I was
Mm-hmm.
witnessing this magical proposal?
Yeah.
And how like some of them were still eating, and others
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
women were like peeking over their chairs.
Mm-hmm. One of my favorite comical moments was when they're having the first Sing family dinner and Jake tries the spicy food.
Oh, yes. Do you like spicy food? Would you have done
I'm
that?
I'm not a huge fan. I can take a little spice, but if it's like over the top,
Yeah, not for me either.
nope,
But he took
not
it
at
like
all.
a champ. He loved her. He needed to show that he
Yes,
did.
and I thought that whole dinner scene was nice too, as
Yeah.
well. And the conversation that they had about how Samuel has been reading the Christmas story at church on
Yeah, that was
Christmas
like
Eve.
our first little bit of
Yeah,
hearing about that tradition and how much it
yeah,
really meant to the family.
yeah,
And it was nice to bring it up in a setting where it was focused on the family and their
yeah.
traditions.
I loved all the Christmas feels too, with the winter festival and the Christmas carnival, and of course the Christmas Eve candlelight service. Really fun. And the Christmas carnival, we had a candy cane hook game, a snowball pitching challenge, and a gingerbread house competition, which
Yes,
looked
sign
really
me up
fun.
for all of those
Yeah,
games.
I would totally play. It looks like a lot of fun.
It's a fun piece of the movie
Yeah,
too to add in
yeah,
with all of the like they're running from place to place, but now
yeah,
we're gonna sit back and like have
yeah,
fun and play some games and relax to see that side
yeah.
of their characters was
hmm
really neat.
I think so too. Besides watching Check Into Christmas with your family every year, what are some of your other favorite Christmas traditions?
Well, on Christmas Eve, my dad always reads the night before Christmas,
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
we turn on the fireplace and all get under our blankets. And
Yeah.
that is a tradition that I plan to keep going
Oh,
forever
that's
and
awesome.
ever. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's one of mine too. I think we read it every year as well, my family. So I go to my grandmother's house every year for Thanksgiving and Christmas. On my mom's side, I have about 9 first cousins. So there's about 20, 25
Nice.
of us every Thanksgiving and Christmas. It gets crazy on Christmas Eve, but so fun. We do a gift exchange after Christmas Eve church service and dinner, and it's a lot of fun. So,
That sounds like a lot of fun. We've
yeah.
always hosted Christmas Day.
Yeah.
And my mom is one of six, so there's a ton
Oh,
of
that's awesome.
cousins that come.
Yeah.
And that feeling of everyone in my house and
hmm
like us all sitting around the table
Yeah.
together is something that like I hope to carry on through like
Oh,
my life and stuff like
yeah.
that.
I hope you can too. My mom has 3 brothers, so
There you go.
that's what makes it a big
A
family.
lot of Christmas fun. Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
In our Christmas gift exchange, it used to be where every one of us would get everyone else something, and that just got too crazy. I have a picture. I can't remember what year, but the gifts under the tree are literally coming to the coffee table. I'm not even joking.
Oh my goodness, how do you all fit in the same room to then open the gift?
We have to get chairs from the kitchen and the dining room
Yep.
and bring them into the family room.
We used to do a little gift exchange like that when the
Yeah.
cousins were really little.
Yeah.
But recently I've been trying to introduce a little like game after dinner
Okay.
instead. So
That's fun.
last year we did the one with you take like salad tongs and you try and get bows into
Okay.
the bowl, and
That's
maybe I'll bring
fun.
one of the ones from this movie into Christmas this year.
You should, yeah. That would be so much fun. But anyway, back to the movie. I loved Ravi and Asha's talk at the restaurant. I think it was his restaurant about what's going on with Jake and then Sarah shows up and she gives advice. And I love the advice that she gives when she says, it's not about squeezing Jake into your world, it's about building a new one together.
Yeah, that one really hit me because
Yeah,
it is so true. Like when you start a new relationship and you're taking on the world together as a team, not as
yeah,
two individuals, and to see
hmm,
that brother and sister connection and then like the
yeah,
sister-in-law come in and be so
yeah,
supportive, that's something that I wish we see like
yeah.
more of
I
in
think
their
so too. And
sequel.
yes. Also, I loved Ravi's advice too when he says it's not about blending two families from opposite worlds. It's about complementing each other and learning to live alongside the differences. And that's very true too.
Yeah, those are pieces of advice that
Yeah,
like everyone should watch
everyone.
Hallmark
Yeah.
movies for that purpose.
Yes, there's a message in every Hallmark movie. Even if it's a corny Hallmark movie, there's still a message.
Exactly.
Yes. I think the only other scenes I'll mention that I really enjoyed were Jake and Asha's declaration of feelings and then, his dance with the radio right before that. That was so cute. And then their engagement ceremony was beautiful.
Beautiful. And so nicely done too, because it had been talked up throughout the whole
Yeah.
movie. And to see the way it came together and
Hmm.
both sides supporting each other, that was
Yeah.
beautiful.
Moving on to our misses. So this is anything maybe you didn't like or you wished for. Do you have anything for that you would like to share?
I feel like the only thing that I felt like was a miss was the pieces of miscommunication between the two of
Yeah.
them. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I would have loved for
Yeah.
them to talk about like the traditions and what to expect before
Mm-hmm.
they got there.
Yeah.
I like felt bad for Jake when he got there and the whole shoe thing
Yeah.
and little things like that.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that was my only miss though. I
Yeah.
really did love how the
Yeah.
story came together.
I did too. I didn't really have any issues with this movie. There was stuff I wanted to see, of course, maybe more scenes with Asha and her brother, I think would have been nice, or brother and sister-in-law. Yeah. But other than that, there was nothing to dislike about this movie. It was great.
Yeah, it really surprised me. I think this
Yeah.
is the first movie this Christmas season that caught
Yeah.
me by surprise in like the best way.
Yeah, it was one of the few. The other one that caught me by surprise was the Christmas charade. I loved that one. I was surprised how much I loved it.
Really?
Yeah.
It's on my watch list. I That's the only one I haven't watched
Oh,
yet.
you haven't seen it yet? It's so good.
Now I have to because you said you liked it that much.
Yes. Corey and Rachel are great together. So
Good
I
to
think
know.
it's a fun one. You'll really
Okay,
like it.
maybe
Yeah.
I'll watch it tonight.
Yes. It had a great holiday heist kind of vibe to it. So
Ooh, okay.
yes. There was one scene, I can't remember what she was saying, but she made up her own lyrics to Jingle Bells when she was sitting in the car waiting for Corey's character to come back in to try to, I guess, do some holiday heist work, so to speak. And she's like, please don't let us get caught. And I'm like, that is so me in a nutshell.
That's
Yeah.
something I would do too.
But anyway, going to our ratings, what would you give this for cast out of 5 stars?
I gave it a 5.
Me too.
Loved them
Yeah.
all.
Yes.
They fit their characters
Chemistry.
perfectly.
Yeah.
Chemistry, I gave a 4. I think I
Okay.
wanted a little more.
Yeah, that's understandable. I said 4.5, so it was really good between Ben and Anuja, and then the chemistry with the family, I think was great too. And then Christmas Feels.
Gave that a 5. I
Yes, me too.
really felt it.
A lot of Christmas Feels in this movie. Setting. So that's the sets.
So for setting, I gave it a 5. I felt
Yeah.
like every scene and different house we went to, you
Yeah.
could tell by the background who
Hmm.
was living there and like what
Yeah.
we were going to experience.
I agree. And then story.
I gave that a 4.5.
Yes, I did too. And then overall.
I gave it a 4.5 overall too.
Same. Yeah, it was a great movie. Moving on to Jingle Bell Run, starring Andrew Walker and Ashley Williams. It was written by Tom McCurry and Stephanie Sourapis. and directed by Lucy Guest. An unadventurous school teacher gets signed up for a Christmas-themed reality competition show where she is paired with former hockey player Wes. What were your first impressions on Jingle Bell Run?
I was so excited for this movie,
Me too.
A, because of the cast, but B,
Yes.
because being a teacher, anytime a teacher
Yeah.
is in a movie, I get so excited to see, like,
Yeah.
will we see their classroom or like how they
Yeah.
are as a teacher?
Yeah.
Um, Overall, thought this movie was a great one for those who
Mm-hmm.
don't normally watch Hallmark movies. I feel like it would pull a lot of
Mm-hmm.
um, it just has a
Yeah.
lot going on. It's a good in
Mm-hmm.
between for everyone to watch
Yeah.
and easily get caught into
Yeah.
the chaos of it all, I guess.
Yeah.
The fun
Yeah.
Christmas chaos.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I loved it all
I
around.
did too. Yeah. My first impression is how can we sign up for the Great Holiday Dash?
Yes. Do you want to be partners? Because I think we could win.
Yes, I think we could too. Let's do it.
Yeah, some of those challenges, I was like, bring them on. I got this.
Yes. That would be so fun.
Right? Maybe we
Yeah.
should like organize something like that. Maybe not traveling so far, but like
Yeah.
in a similar zone, get the cool
Yeah.
jackets and the cool team names.
Yes, I loved the names. Team Slay what?
Yeah.
Can't remember the other ones, but they were all great.
There were a lot of
Every
really good
team
ones that
name.
I remember as they were reading them off and showing the
Yeah.
jackets. I was like, who took the time to come up with all of these names and how are they all so great? Like, I
Yeah.
only have so
I
much
know.
kudos to him for
Yeah.
that.
One message that I got out of this movie, it was towards the end when Wes said the best gifts come from the heart. And that is very true.
Yeah. That was evident, I feel like, throughout the whole movie. One of my
Yeah.
big hits and my favorite scenes was when he dressed up as Santa and did all the presents with everyone.
That was,
And
yeah.
just how personal it was and how much he
Yeah.
really showed that he cared about everyone.
Yeah.
And you could feel, like watching that, I felt like I was sitting around the campfire with
Mm-hmm.
them.
Me
And it
too.
just
Yeah.
carries that same message that you shared.
Yeah, I think so too. That was actually one of my favorite scenes in this movie. And continuing on with our hits, I thought the chemistry between Andrew and Ashley was great. The enemies to lovers trope. That's one of my favorite tropes.
Love it.
Yes. It's a tough trope to write, but it's great if it's done well. And I think it was done well in this movie.
Yeah, and I think the two of them are really close too. So,
Yeah.
like in real
Mm-hmm.
life, so to have
Yeah.
that connection for like helping them get through the friend part to
Yeah.
then their level of chemistry towards the end,
Yeah.
I was amazed by that whole
Yeah.
turnaround.
Yes, me too. This I wanted to see more of. Avery's friendship with Ruby, I thought was really nice. So I liked that. And then the comedy in this movie was great, I
Yes.
thought.
I love a movie that gets me laughing every once in a while.
Yes. Some of the snarky comments between Wes and Avery just had me cracking up,
Yes.
especially at the beginning. Yeah.
Right, when they're first like kind of the treadmill
Yeah.
scene when she's like
Oh my gosh.
running and trying to go up on the
She's
speed,
like,
and then she's getting to these levels that I'm like, I would never touch that on a treadmill.
yeah, yeah. Yes. I love how Avery or Ashley says the on button isn't awning. I'm like,
Yep.
that had me cracking up. Oh my goodness. The competitiveness between Wes and Nash I thought was really fun.
Yes.
And
The scene where they like crack the nuts in their
the
hand. I think it
walnuts.
was on like the sneak peek too. And how serious his face was as he was like trying but like not succeeding. It's like,
Yep.
you go, you got this.
Yes. And then the dynamic between the contestants, especially Wes and Avery, Shirley and Katie, and then Brad and Ramon, I
I
thought
think
was
they
great.
did a great job
Yeah,
pairing the people together. Like,
they
yes, their
did.
characters were great, but
Yeah.
the acting of each of them
Yes.
together, they each team felt like a full unit and like someone
Mhm.
that I could connect with throughout the whole
Yeah.
movie. Sometimes with
I
extra
think so too.
characters, they just disappear. But I was like
Yeah.
in on everyone's story.
Yes, me too. What was your favorite challenge from the Great Holiday Dash? I loved all of those scenes, but
I liked the hockey, the fruitcake one where they had to hit it
that
through
one
the
was fun.
snowman's button.
Yeah.
I think it was because I felt anxious for them. Like, are they
Okay.
actually
Yeah.
gonna get through this and make
Yeah.
it? And then their celebration at the end of that
That was
one,
cute.
that was really
The
cute. Yes.
with the candy canes
Yes.
as guitars. I loved that one. And then
I
I
don't think
think,
I'd be good at it, but I liked watching it.
yes, I would be terrible at that. My aim is terrible.
It's okay. Wes will come in and teach you.
Yes. I think my other favorite challenge that they did, no, I loved them all, but probably the window display
That was
for
my
the
second.
department store. Yeah. I love that scene when they're talking about hockey and why she became a teacher and they make the paper snowflakes. That was cute.
It felt so natural and it really
Yeah.
slowed down the movie in that moment. I
Hmm.
felt like with all the events
Yeah.
and the different things they were going to, it was fast
Yeah.
paced, but that one scene was so, I feel like monumental for the two of them
Hmm.
and really made me
Yeah.
like buy into the whole movie too. I wrote
Yeah.
down that it was so natural and
Hmm.
that's what I want out of two leads is
Yeah.
like for that connection to feel that natural.
Yes. It needs to be natural. It doesn't need to be forced. And sometimes in these movies, the chemistry is forced
Yeah.
and it kind of brings down the movie a little bit, which is unfortunate. But with this movie, it was totally natural because Andrew and Ashley, I think, are really good friends off
Yeah.
screen. So it just makes it all the better.
It does.
Yeah. This I'll just mention briefly because it had me cracking up when Avery and Katie are playing chess and they are talking about Wes and what made them sign up for the competition. I love how Wes is over there with the guys. I don't remember what they were doing, but it was some kind of game and he won. And I love his victory song. He's like, I just can't lose. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. I felt like that was totally Andrew and not Wes,
Oh yeah. Uh-huh. 100%.
which is great. Oh my goodness.
I'm glad that they left that scene in there too. Like it just you
Yeah.
needed that at that point.
Hmm. Yeah. I also loved the dance competition. That was probably my third favorite.
That was a good one. And I was
Yeah.
curious to see what they would do and like
Yeah.
how into it they would get with the dance.
Hmm.
Um, but that was another one where like their connection was strong
Yeah.
and they really trusted each other. And
Hmm.
I wanted to see more of everyone dancing, even though I
Me
love
too.
their dances. But
Yeah. It was great. And the song playing in the background was Season of Lights and Wonder by Brett Eldridge. And he's great.
he's great. Yes. The second
Yeah.
the song started playing, I was like, I know who this is.
Yes. I've actually seen Brett Eldridge in concert when he opened for Taylor Swift, I think on the Red Tour. It was a
Wow.
lot of fun.
I bet.
He's great live. He's
And he's
probably,
recently done a lot of Christmas stuff too, which
yeah, he has. Yeah,
is all good.
yeah. Who is your favorite music artist? Since we're talking about music.
That's a tough question. I like Dan and Shay a
Me
lot. I
too. Yeah.
who was I just listening to in the car? Oh, my current song that I'm playing on repeat is Isn't
Yeah.
She Lovely? Because I'm like thinking
Oh,
about wedding songs and things
oh,
to do.
yeah.
And if I'm in
Yeah.
a bad mood, I just put that on and dance around.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, this is a tough question. I love Ed Sheeran, Whitney
Yes, me
Houston.
too. Yeah. There's so many great artists out there. Probably for me, I'll just pick a couple. So country-wise, probably Scotty McCreery and Dan and Shay and Lauren Elena. I love Lauren Elena
I
too.
love Lauren Elena. I saw her in concert last year.
I saw her in concert in 2012. She came here. She did a outdoor concert
Yeah.
with a local radio station, and it was WEZL Party in the Park. So much fun. And she signed autographs and stuff after the show. So I got to meet her and I got a picture with her. She was so nice.
Oh, that's awesome. She was so good in concert too.
Yes, she really was. And speaking of the party in the park, actually, I think a couple years after that, Dan and Shay had the same thing. And I
Did you
got to
go?
meet, I did get to go. And I met, I think, both of them. They were really nice.
I'm jealous.
Only for a second. Like, I only got to talk to them for a second, but it was
Still,
still
that's
fun.
awesome.
Yes. And they're great live, too.
I had tickets to go to one of their concerts and then it was COVID and it got canceled and I
Yeah.
couldn't go to like the remake concert. And so that
Yeah.
is one on my list.
Yes.
But Rascal Flatts and I think Lauren and Elaine
Oh,
are
love.
nearby.
Yep.
So fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. I hope you get to go. I love
Yeah.
Rascal Flats too.
Mhm.
And probably Angie Miller. Now she puts out music under the artist name Zealand, but she was on American Idol back in 2013 and I got to meet her too. So she's another favorite.
Wow. I'll have to
And
look her up.
then yeah, she's great. I'll have to send you her stuff because she's fantastic. And then Need to Breathe, I think is the only other one I'll mention. I love Need to Breathe.
That's good.
And they're from South Carolina, so they're local to the state, which is pretty cool.
Ooh. Was that a
Yeah.
good concert?
It was. It was an amazing concert.
I would imagine they would be amazing.
Yes, they are so good. And Andy Grammer. I love Andy Grammer. Michael Bublé.
Oh, Michael Bublé. Yep. We have similar music tastes too. Movie taste and music taste.
Yes, I have Michael Bublé's Christmas album on vinyl.
Wow.
So good.
Wow.
So good. But anyway, we are going down a music rabbit hole. Back to the movie. Before we move on to the next scene, another fun little, I guess, Easter egg would be that the barn from the dance competition was in Sign Sealed to the Altar.
Mm-hmm. I thought it looked familiar.
The second it came on screen with it's not a windmill, but the thing that's outside the barn, I was like, yeah, I know that barn right away. I was like, that's the To the Altar barn. Or the Kelser family farm barn. Yeah.
There you go.
Great. Yeah, I love those little Easter eggs that they put in the movie, even if it's not intentionally to call back to.
It keeps the true Hallmark fans
Different. Yeah.
excited for the next one. And
Yes.
it's kind of like you see that and you remember all your favorite memories about that place. Or I wore this sweater here and I love all my favorite memories with this. Like Hallmark carries that with those little
They definitely do. Yeah. And there's a lot of familiar sets from multiple Hallmark movies that people recognize. So that's pretty cool that they use a lot of the same. I loved the challenge when they were stomping the grates. That was really fun.
Yes.
I would probably get really tired. I'm not gonna lie.
Me too. And it seemed like it went so fast too.
Yes.
Just filled it up right away.
Yeah. And then of course, I think the only other scene I'll mention is the wrap party, is what I would call it.
Yeah.
After Wes and Avery have won the competition.
Yeah. I also really liked the scene when they were on the plane and they got the letters delivered to them.
Yeah, that was a good one.
For students, and he opened the one from his family.
Yeah.
That one, I like that one a lot.
Yes.
All the feels in that one.
Yeah. I loved Avery's relationship with her students, even though we didn't see a whole lot of it. I thought it was really sweet.
Yeah. And as a teacher, I totally get that motivation of I am doing this for my students. I'm going to make them proud. I will drop anything and do anything for them.
Yes.
And to see her carry that through as a message, that meant a lot.
Yeah. And teachers are very underappreciated, I think. They deserve a lot more credit than they're given.
Thank you.
Of course. Yes. One of my aunts is a former teacher, so he recently retired. Yeah.
Former teacher too, and so that's where I got my love of teaching kind of from.
That's awesome. Yeah. I'm sure you're a great teacher to your students.
Thanks. I have high school, which is a little different than Avery's little
that's awesome. Yeah.
But Same thing. I would do anything for them if they
Oh,
asked.
that's awesome. What subject do you teach?
I teach math, so
Okay.
not everyone's favorite, and that's
No,
okay.
math is not my strong point. I don't hate math, but it's not like a
Yeah.
strong subject for me. I can do math, but some math I'm not that great at.
Yeah. It was never, well, I liked math and I enjoyed it. I was never
Yeah.
like the star student of a math class, and
Yeah.
I wanted to become a math teacher so that
Oh, yeah.
other students didn't feel like they couldn't do anything in math. I wanted to give them
Yeah.
the confidence that I
Yeah.
never had. And so
That's
that's kind of
awesome.
like why I took this path, if that makes
I
any
love
sense.
that. Yeah, it definitely does. I remember now math isn't my strong suit, so to speak, but I remember I think I was in fifth grade. We did the accelerated math program, and I think I ended up winning the program for some apparent reason.
Nice.
I got a certificate for winning or something. I can't remember. It was so long
Yeah.
ago.
Take those wins. We'll rack them
Yes.
up for our Jingle Bell Run challenge
Yes.
together.
Yes. And I got an A in math my senior year, which surprised me. I did
Nice.
not think I was going to get an A in math my senior year. But I guess I
Very
had a good teacher, and it was online too, so maybe that helped.
maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
All possibilities.
Yes. But back to the wrap party scene. I loved the reunion that Wes had with his brother Tyler. I thought that was really sweet. And then how when the host Keegan asked, what they were going to do with the money, Avery mentions that she is going to launch Little Readers. So that's her nonprofit for after school reading for young kids. And then start the Grace T. Perkins Memorial Scholarship for Shirley's daughter and donate to Katie's passion project as a playwright and invest in a restaurant run by Brad and Ramon.
That part right there. I even
Yeah,
hearing you say that again, even though
yeah,
I've already watched it, I was
yeah.
getting emotional for
Me
someone
too.
to have like
Yeah.
a heart that big and think
Hmm.
to donate to all of those
Yeah,
causes being like such big and important
yeah,
pieces in those people's
yeah,
lives. Like I cried. I needed a tissue.
yeah.
I was
Me
gone at
too.
that moment.
Yeah. And Wes said he was going to use the prize money to start a youth hockey league and become a coach and then make the same donations to their friends' causes.
Yep.
That's
And
great.
he tears number two when he said that.
Yes. Tears number two. That was great. Moving on to our misses. So this is anything we didn't like or wished for. Did you have anything for that for this movie?
I wished that they would have shown more with Wes and his nephews because they showed
Yeah.
the connection with the brother
Hmm.
again. But I would have loved to see like Wes and Avery go in as Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus
Yeah.
on Christmas
That would have been
morning to
really
see
fun.
them. And I feel like that would have brought more warmth to the movie too.
Yeah.
With them running all over the place,
Yeah.
and there were Christmas themed events, but I was missing that like cup of hot chocolate
Hmm.
warmth. And I
Yeah.
think that little bit of connection might have brought that. But
Yeah.
that was the only thing that I was like wishing for at the end.
Yeah, I don't necessarily have anything that I disliked. I thought it was a great movie. I think the only problem I had with this movie, it didn't negatively affect the movie too much, but Avery being used for views and then the miscommunication conflict, I thought maybe could have been done a little bit differently. But that's okay. I still enjoyed the movie.
Yeah.
And then, like you mentioned, I would have loved to have seen a scene with Wes and his nephews.
Yeah. I feel like that would have been the like bow on top of the
Yeah,
present if we had something.
yeah, I think so too. And I didn't mention it in our hits, but I also loved the scene with Wes and Avery when they were talking by the fire about their families and how Wes traveled a lot for hockey, so he wasn't able to spend as much time as he wanted with his family.
What did
Which
you
was
feel about his line at the end, the but I would feel like I lost if I didn't have you in the end?
that was so sweet. Melt my heart,
Yep.
Wes and
And then when
Andrew.
they kissed and he goes, "Wait, let me check if that's real." And they kissed again.
Yes. Moving on to our ratings, what would you give the cast out of 5?
5.
That's what I said too. Chemistry.
I gave it a 5 for sure.
Yes, me too. Christmas feels. I think that's a 5 for
I
me.
gave it a 4 just because I was missing the warmth, but I love
Okay.
how much Christmas was mentioned and brought up in the game.
Yeah.
So I guess I wanted more of
Yeah.
like the cozy
Okay.
Christmas.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. So I take that back. I'll do a 4.5 instead of a 5. Yeah. And then setting.
5.
Yeah.
Impressive
And
how they
then,
like moved locations too, and you felt like you
yeah.
were in different places.
Yeah. That was really fun. And then story.
I gave it a 5.
I said 4. I think that's what I gave it on my letterbox, but that's still good for me. So, and then overall,
Overall, I gave it a 5 too.
yes, it was great. I gave it a 4, but it was still one of my favorites of the year. It's in my top 10 as of right now.
Nice.
So,
Me too.
moving on to Confessions of a Christmas Letter, starring Angela Kinsey and Alex Santos, with a cameo from Brian Baumgardner. It was written by Jennifer Smith and Kate Smith and directed by Heather Hawthorne Doyle. When quirky family matriarch Seti Rose enlists struggling novelist Juan to help her in the town's annual holiday letter writing contest, a mix-up leads to the rumor that Juan is engaged to Seti's daughter, Lily. What were your first impressions on this movie?
Reading that description before watching the movie, I thought there would be more of Juan and Lily as like the
Mm-hmm.
romance.
Yeah.
Than I feel like we actually got in the movie. I
Mm-hmm.
thought it was a creative idea.
Yeah.
Seti as a character was
Mm-hmm.
how I feel I might be as a mom one day, so excited
Oh
about all
yeah.
these Christmas traditions.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there was a lot going on in the movie overall.
Yeah.
That was like my biggest takeaway was so many parts to it.
Yes. And I always hate to like give negative reviews because I appreciate all the hard work that the cast and crew put into these movies. Like this is nothing against anyone that works on the movies. And this one especially since it's the one we're talking about. But I thought that it was a fun concept. I loved the aspect of the letter writing contest, but I thought it maybe could have been written and executed a little bit better. Does that make sense?
I totally agree with that. That's
Yeah.
you put words to what was in my head.
Yeah.
So yes.
Yes. But the cast is great. I mean, love all the actors in it. So,
Yeah,
of
but it
course,
was
it's nothing against it.
yeah, it was just something about how it all came together.
Yeah. So, moving on to our hits, what did you like about this movie?
I loved Seti's energy and her
Yeah.
creative spin on
Yeah.
Christmas traditions, like
Hmm.
when they all had their Christmas PJs
Yeah.
and they go downstairs
Yeah.
the first day, and how she made the little bulletin board of the quote of the day and
Yeah.
the ideas. That's up my alley of something that I would
Hmm.
probably do if I was trying to get my family excited about
Yeah.
Christmas activities.
Hmm.
Um, I liked the scene when she was trying to write her letter, how she
Hmm.
talked to her little like bobblehead
Oh
Christmas
yeah,
figures.
yeah. That was
I thought
funny.
that was cute. And then
Yeah.
to see that mirrored with Juan when he was writing and
Hmm.
his little sentimental, like the
Hmm.
wooden, I think, saint figures that he had.
Yeah, Santos.
Oh, yes, yes. To see them both have a similar writing environment, it's
Hmm.
like said he was capable of this all along because she
Yeah.
had the same tools he had. I liked that mirror
Hmm.
piece. My biggest hit, my number one takeaway was
Okay.
the gingerbread house scene.
That was fun. Yes,
And
that was
his
my favorite
message
scene.
to her of like, take control of your own story.
Yeah.
That is something I needed to hear too. Is like I wasn't Lily, but like that's advice that I want to take and
Yeah. That was my favorite scene in the movie too.
yeah, just the chemistry, but
Yeah.
then how real it felt too.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like they
Yeah.
were putting on the charade. It was like
Yes. I thought the Office reunion was fun with Angela and Brian. Now, I'm not a huge Office fan. It is a great show, but I haven't watched every single episode, so I don't know, the whole story arc, but I have seen a few episodes and it was fun seeing them together again.
I'm in the same boat as you as far as that goes, and I did enjoy seeing that together.
Yeah. My brother loves The Office, though. That's
Oh,
like one of
did
his
he get to
favorite
see the
shows.
movie? Did he
No,
watch
he
it?
didn't.
Oh,
He's not a Hallmark fan.
maybe you can convince him because of that scene.
Maybe. I thought the Rose family dynamics was nice. And I thought that the family as a whole had great chemistry together.
I agree with that too. Yeah,
Yeah. The friendship with Seti, Anna, and Piper I thought was really sweet. I wish we had gotten to see more of that. It was a really fun friendship.
I agree. That first scene when
Yeah.
they were in the post office and they were behind her, I didn't
Yeah.
realize that they were
No,
friends.
I didn't either.
And
Yeah.
then all of a sudden, when they were in her house, I was like, oh, these two are going to be part of this. This is great. And then they kind
Yeah.
of disappeared a little bit, but came back. But you're
Yeah.
right. If they had been kind of more into it.
Yeah.
But I love their dynamic together when they
Yeah.
were.
Me too. And I think it was Karen Holness who played Anna, if I'm correct. She is a very familiar face in the Hallmark world.
Yes.
I loved at the beginning Juan's talk with his grandpa and uncle about the stories that he used to write for his grandma, the adventures and misadventures of Chacho, the Christmas crab.
Yeah. That was so sweet.
Yeah. And I love later on in the movie when he, I guess, opens his suitcase and he finds the story.
The book. And it was
Yeah.
such something that a little kid would have made the way it was
Yeah.
like put together, but then all the details he put into
Yeah.
it too, that it could be like a real true
Yeah.
storybook.
What did you think about Sue?
I wished at the end, I guess this is getting to a wish. I don't know if I should
No,
get
yeah,
that,
that's fine.
but I liked her character. I thought she was great. She definitely stuck to the role and was like, I'm
Hmm.
here to squish your Christmas fun and you're gonna do it my way.
Yeah,
But at the end, I wish they had squished her back a little bit more. Like,
yeah,
we did this. And
yeah.
there was one line, I think, when was it? Oh, when they were setting up the Winter Wonderland outside in the
Okay,
middle of
yeah,
the night, where they said something about new leadership and new traditions.
yeah. That was
And
fun.
yeah, I like seeing her reaction to all the crazy things they did too. She
Me
handled
too.
that really well.
Yes, definitely the reaction she had the next morning when the family surprises Steady with all the Christmas decor.
Yes.
That was really fun. And then the silent disco party was great outside the house with the garland scarf.
Yeah. I wanted to jump in and be part of it. We saw a silent disco like that in Santa Summit, I
Yep,
believe. And
yep,
ever since then, I've always wanted to jump in and try one.
yeah,
And so to see them doing it in their pajamas in their front yard, I
yeah.
was like, sign me up.
That would be really fun. And I've never been to a silent disco, but I've heard they're great.
I've heard that too.
Yeah. I think they did one on the Christmas cruise, if
I
I
saw that
remember correctly.
too.
The first
Yeah.
one. I know they did it on the first one because Megan and Wendy from Girls Gone Hallmark posted
Oh,
it
they
on
went.
their story. Yeah.
Oh, you got to ask about the silent
Yeah.
disco
Yeah.
now.
Shout out to y'all if you're listening. Y'all are awesome. I thought a scene with Seti that was really great was the second interview that she did with Juan when she actually does talk about what she loves about Christmas.
Yeah, and that was the scene where I feel like you
Yeah.
saw the most growth out of her
Hmm.
character.
Yeah.
She was so focused on like one thing in the beginning,
Yeah.
and that was the clear part of she has more dimensions to her and
Yeah.
like how much her family really means to her. That
Yeah.
shone through there. And I think that's what I wanted to see from her earlier on.
Hmm.
So when that moment happened, I was like,
Hmm.
finally.
Yes, me too. Yeah. Juan helping Lily prepare for her audition and their first kiss. That was a great scene.
Great scene.
And then, of course, we get to the end of the movie and we find out that she got the part in the play. And this is, I think, after the Christmas tree lighting and party. And she's walking with Juan and they share their feelings and they had their second kiss. And that kiss was great too.
That was
when she
another good
pulls him in
one.
by
Hmm.
the lapels or the
Yep.
lapels of his coat.
Yep. I did not see that one coming. So that was
Yeah.
the one that caught me by surprise, but
Yeah.
that was a good one.
Yeah. And I think that Alec and Lillian were great in these roles.
Yeah. They did do
Yeah.
a good job. I think I
Yeah.
wanted more of them too.
I did too. Yeah. I think my other favorite scene would probably have to be, or two favorite scenes would be the last two when Juan and Steady are talking by the fire about his new novel and her letter. And then the next morning, so Christmas morning, when she reads the Rose family Christmas letter.
That was
They read
special.
the night before Christmas. Yeah.
What a great tradition.
Yes. Such a great tradition. I think everyone should have reading
It's
the
a-
night before Christmas.
I noticed too in I don't know if it was yeah, the her reading the letter scene, how they were all wearing their
Hmm.
Christmas
Christmas pajamas.
pajamas, that Lily was wearing a
Yeah.
red shirt.
Yeah.
And my family and I have this thing called the red
Hmm.
dress moment. So at the
Okay.
end of a Hallmark movie, normally like when the lead comes out for that big like
Hmm.
moment at the end of a movie,
Yeah.
she's normally wearing a red dress or a red coat.
Yeah.
And so when something like special like that happens to us in our
Hmm.
life, we call it our red dress moment.
Oh, I
And to
love that.
me, her wearing a red shirt and not the
Yeah.
pajamas was kind of like a nod to her red dress
Yeah.
moment, that, like everything was falling into place
Yeah.
for her. I don't know if
Yeah.
that's what they meant by it, but it stood out to
Yeah.
me, and that was a connection I made with it.
Yeah. I thought it was great. And that I love that tradition that you have with your family. It's really fun. Moving on to Mrs. So was there anything else that you wished for in this movie or maybe didn't like or had a problem with?
I feel like I wanted more from the family.
Yeah.
I know there was a lot going on in the movie in
Hmm.
general, and like we
Yeah.
missed the friends. We wanted more from their
Yeah.
dynamic, but I felt like the grandma and the grandpa and
Hmm.
like I don't know, all the pieces of the puzzle
Yeah.
of that family had so much potential, and I just
Hmm.
wanted more. I think that's the
Yeah.
whole movie. I just wanted more.
Yeah. I think that was my biggest issue. The writing was a little too focused on too many side characters. Like
Yeah,
this movie had the potential to be really great, but just everything going on just brought it down a good
right.
bit for me. And that's unfortunate because, like I mentioned, I do really love these actors in this cast. So,
I agree.
wanted more romance between Juan and Lily, like we mentioned. And a question I had at the beginning, how did Seti, Anna, and Piper not get caught taking the letters from the post office?
Right?
Like what?
And how far was that like drive home too? Because then they were like rushing to lock the door and they were all
Oh my goodness. I think Oliver O'Toole would probably have some words for them.
Mhm.
Stealing mail. It's a federal offense. Oh my goodness. But anyway, yeah, that was the one question I had. I was thinking, how in the world did they not get caught?
And we never brought back to like if anyone like realized it. Like I know they didn't get caught in the moment, but then she was like, "Oh, I
No.
didn't close the door." So it's like someone should have
Yeah.
found out. And like, did anyone
Yeah.
ever find out? We don't know.
Moving on to our ratings, what would you give the cast out of 5?
I gave them a 4.
Okay. I said 4 too. And then chemistry.
I gave Lillian on a 4. Like the relationship
Okay.
chemistry was strong in there. I felt like the family chemistry, I gave a 3. I wanted more from them together.
Okay. Yeah, I said 3.5 for the family and 4 for Juan and Lily. It wasn't the strongest chemistry I've seen, but they do have chemistry and
Right.
great chemistry.
Yeah.
And Christmas feels.
I gave that a 3.5 as well.
Okay. That's what I did as well. And then setting.
I gave it a 5. I liked the neighborhood vibes and the
Okay.
house.
Yeah. I said 4. So that's still good. And then story.
I gave it a 3. I feel bad
Okay.
saying that, but I
No,
want
it's all good.
4.
It's all good. You're actually pretty close to my rating for the story. I said 2.5, so we're
Okay.
pretty close. And just based on everything we talked about,
Yeah.
just too much going on brought it way down from a 5. And then overall,
Overall, I gave it a 3.5.
yeah, I said 2.5 out of 5. But I mean, it has some nice moments to it. And I think my favorite part of the movie was Juan and Lily.
Me too. And the uncle and the
Yeah,
grandpa. I love
yeah.
their little
The
pieces.
uncle and grandpa were great too. And I love the Spanish culture that we got in this movie as well, the little bit of that. So it would have been fun to see more of that because we only got a little bit. But this was so much fun, Lauren. Thank you for joining me for this review. I had a great time.
Thanks so much for having me. I love talking Hallmark movies.
Of course, yes. And you are welcome anytime to come back on.
Aw, thanks.
Of course. Yes, I can't wait to do it again in the future sometime.
Yeah, me too.
All right, Hallmarkies, I think that wraps up our review of Hallmark Countdown to Christmas Week 5. If you enjoyed this episode and are watching on YouTube, you can like this video and share your thoughts on the movies in the comments. If you are listening on Spotify, make sure to rate and review as your feedback is always greatly appreciated. If you want to stay up to date on all of my episodes, you can subscribe to this channel on YouTube or follow along on Spotify, and make sure to turn on the bell so you are alerted when new episodes come. You can also find the podcast on Facebook and Instagram at Swing My Heart Podcast and Twitter at Swing My Heart Pod. Thank you so much for listening. We hope you have a wonderful day or night wherever you are in the world, and we will see you next time. We love y'all. Bye.
Bye.